Hello, and welcome to the Old Farm Bus Podcast. This is the back of the bus session.
Not your bit. Hello and welcome to the Old Farm Bus Back of the Bus Sessions podcast. Today I've got a fantastic guest. I'm really buzzing about this. You don't know this, but one of the best nights of my life. I only met you once and it was incredible. So welcome aboard, Tiff Holland.
Woo!
Yeah! You said you'd go mad and you went mad. I love it. You stuck to your word. It was a good night, wasn't it?
It was incredible.
Last week's busking session with Project Zeus.
The vibe was ridiculous. And the audience, I don't know who you know or who you managed to invite, but oh my God.
Oh, thank you, man.
The shit.
Well, I thought your crowd was the ones that were sort of making it the shit, meaning the good shit. But it just, again, not many people knew one another.
No.
But they all just come together in unison, and it was a really nice atmosphere. My favourite bit is when we all went on the stage.
I know, yeah.
There must have been, 30, 40 on there?
Or just
bobbing up and down. I was so nervous because I made that stage.
With your bare hands?
It's a pallet stage, so just laid loads of pallets down, being modest, you know.
You didn't have 30 people to test it out before.
Exactly that. But now I've got no worry about any band ever coming because I'm like, that holds 30 mad bastards.
Let's get an orchestra on there.
I really couldn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, symphony. That sounds amazing. It's going to be like Chatsworth one day, this place.
Oh my God, incredible.
But on it, thank you so much for coming today, because that night, just meeting you, I came over, and I'm obviously good friends with the Project Zeus boys, and we've got a little podcast together. There's a bit of history there. I could come over and just be myself. And I met you, and I really like who you are, and I don't know you, have not spoken properly, but it's the smile. You've got a really friendly smile, lovely energy, nice eyes about you, and do you know when you can just tell somebody's got something about them? I felt that there, so I was going, I want to explore it, but I've just got so much to conduct and do.
Yeah.
So what better place than a podcast? But is there a lot of mystery there, or have I overlooked it all?
I mean, you're not... Okay, first of all, I low-key felt the same about you. The socks and slider and bright jacket combination.
Yeah, it's pretty strong.
I was like, okay, this guy came here for business. You know what I mean? But yeah.
You had your wild jacket on as well, so maybe we met. It's clothing that brought us together. Well, I mean, just on a side, what do you think to that? Because I like that you wear bright, powerful colours. Do you do that on purpose?
I mean, yeah. I don't know if it's bougie of me, but I don't mean it in a bougie way in the slightest. I don't like to wear things that I know other people have because I dress and I use clothes as self-expression, and I want you to know that it's come from me. So I kind of intentionally choose things that I know people probably won't have, so that it literally is me speaking to other people with clothes.
I'm on again, I'm always learning, forever picking up things, and clothing seems to be my new sort of passion and mission statement of finding who I am through clothing, because I go charity shopping with Chrissy and me nan.
I love that.
It's so good, and you can find absolute bargains, but something so unique that nobody else is going to have. I think Thrift Shop's a song on this, isn't it? Macklemore.
Yeah.
I'm going to put some pill. But there's something about how I used to feel. I'm sure we'll get into sort of the mental side of it later and the mentality of it. But I thought differently, but I expressed myself through my visual sense, my outside exterior, like everybody else.
Yeah.
But a moment I thought, no, if I'm gonna feel this way, speak this way, why don't I embody it as well?
Yeah.
And I started wearing the colour clothes that actually, it feels right, doesn't it? There's no words to describe it, it's just a feeling. You go, oh, okay,
He's arrived.
Yeah, I am here. And there's something really powerful. It's kind of just a reminder to myself in that day, when I put something powerful on, or a big colour or something bright, because I get a lot of piss for it. You can imagine me going to the gym all the time. I live in Ripley, which is a bit lads. Everyone says something, But because I fully own it now and I fully enjoy it, when I see myself in a mirror or something, I go, oh, remember, that's the happy, the bright, the smiley. And it puts me back in that frame of mind. Do you get that with your clothes?
100%. And I also feel like, as well as it being for you, I feel like other people can take something from that as well.
Yes, yeah.
Because there's been many a times where I've been wearing something and like it's not even out there for me. It's just something that I'm like, oh, I kind of fancy wearing that today. But someone will come over and they'll be like, oh my God, like, I love the fact that you're confident enough to wear that. And then they walk away with a little bit more like, like maybe I could do that as well.
Have you had that experience a lot then? Have you had a few?
Well, I used to study fashion design in college. So about like, I'd say 3 years of my life I was like making my own things. And it was outrageous, some of the outfits that I would walk around in. And like running through Nottingham, because I went to college in Nottingham, so like we'd make stuff and then we'd go out into town and we'd like photo shoot it, and I made this like massive skirt out of electric tape, and I like weaved it all together, and it was like this big headpiece, and I was just kind of like, you know what, I feel like art.
Yes.
And that's literally what it is. And I'm like, you look at something and you think it's magnificent because of all the work and like thought and emotion that's gone into it. It's the exact same thing with like clothes. Obviously in some cases they have to be a bit practical.
Yeah.
But you know, why can't you like express an emotion? Why can't you
show a side of yourself?
Thinking? Yeah.
I do. I've really felt uncomfortable with, ended up getting asked to leave my schools. I didn't do so well in there. I didn't like conformity. Let's say it that way.
I'm here for that.
But the concept you can't have like a different hair colour, it just baffles me. You can't go in a certain X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
They need to be taught to uniform's important, conform's important. This like no, but that's the beauty of people, individuality. Yeah, you've got to have some form of structure in life, but also why can't we learn to accept everybody's uniqueness and beauty, and clothes can be a starting point on that, can't they?
No, 100%. I feel like a lot of the negative things that you experience through life come from that like conformist kind of mindset that you're taught when you're younger, because if everyone's not the same, which none of us are, none of us have been through the same thing, none of us have really that much in terms of being identical, that when you go out into the real world and you have to experience people that are different to you, you take it badly because you're like, oh, I don't know what that is. And what in school that has been taught to be bad, you know? So how can you kind of raise children to adults to go out and be good people if they don't know anything about what it's like to actually be around
difference.
Exactly.
Mate, it's funny, saying before this podcast, I went and filmed a podcast, and I might reference this guy in it a few times today. He was Paul Cope. If anyone wants to check him out, he knows stuff. But he said something really powerful today, and it was imagining people like a car manufacturers, and you've got all these cars going through, and throughout generations, actually what we've gone and done is we're building these cars, and then we're building in floors from the off, so they're being built with floors within them, and then what happens is the floors go off into society and onwards, and then they come back round and they go back into the factories and start building more floors within the floors. And I felt very strongly about what he said there. So like school, this sense of conformity, and I just think it's on this vicious cycle of we've started out on a really bad foundation of gaining in floors in these vehicles, in these people, building back round, and then they go off into those manufacturers and building blocks, and they put more floors within it, and I feel that strongly. So the more you do your truthful, honest, most real self, I do think there is a lot of inspiration to be gained from that. There's a lot of wisdom to be taken from it, and I felt that from that moment we met. I goes, oh, that is a person right there, just sitting in comfortability, in absolute, I'm just going to be me tonight, and if people don't vibe it, fair play. If they do, come join.
Honestly, and that's all there is to life.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. And I feel like everyone should have the privilege of being able to be like, this is who I am. And I think it breaks my heart, actually, that there are people out there that may have never and may never get to experience the confidence and comfortability that comes with being like, this is who I am.
And unapologetically a part of me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's just because of the vision that I'm seeing at the minute, but I make film and I've got this job and I'm filming a famous TikToker, got 1 million followers, doing his thing. But there's a part of him which is an awesome person. There's probably something underground there that needs to be looked at, or nurtured more than looked at. But there's a bit of a bullying campaign behind it. I see people just not being nice to him, and all he's doing is expressing his passion, what he loves to do, unapologetically. But all these other people just seem to be throwing shit at him, because I've been on Instagram maybe like 6 or 7 years, Facebook 10 years plus, whatever it is. TikTok, that just seems like a shower of shit. It just seems a horrible place for people to just hurl abuse at each other. And I've only just had this little insight because I've been brought into the world because I wanted to see what was going off. And I just feel that sense of people just getting on the bandwagon, getting in wolf packs, conforming, being like one another. I think it's going in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
In the younger generations, and obviously we can talk about that later because you work in education, you work with young people, and I want to do my best, but it can feel suffocating that there's so much to fight against or to battle with, when it's just be like the next person, be like the next. We can't get outside of it. You have to keep chipping away, don't you?
It is, and the fact that it's everywhere. Like, you can't go to the shop, you can't go to the gym, you can't watch the TV without like some kind of message being thrown at you to be like, you need to be like this. This is what you should look like, and all of it really. Bottom line is money. Like that's it. Because if you as a human being, if you don't have anything you're aspiring to, and if you're comfortable with who you are, then no one's making money out of that, because you don't feel the need to buy anything. You know, you don't feel the need to go out and spend loads of money on surgery or makeup or like, you know, steroids and getting big at the gym or anything like that.
Following the narrative. Yeah,
because, you know, if you're comfortable, then you're chilling and you're fine. But people don't want that because they need to be making money out of you.
And I suppose the compassionate side of that goes, it's just been cleverly built and ingrained and indoctrinated into society. Have you ever seen the documentary Hypernormalization?
No.
So Adam Curtis is a documentary maker.
That's another one I'm going to write down.
Yeah,
got all the suggestions.
Got a list after this. My friend explained it to me, and in the documentary, there's where this consumerism came from was Edward Bernays in the 50s. Have you heard of Edward Bernays?
Yeah.
That was it. And the way he explained that to me, I went, what an evil genius. What a wise guy.
Evil genius.
And truthfully, it was, again, we used to buy things on utility. You've got feet, so you need shoes. You want to be warmer, here's a coat. But then he realised that would cut out the consumer after that. You've killed off your market. So what he did was turn it into, buy these shoes, you will be sexy. And then you keep the consumer, because what you're doing is getting them to battle one another and compete over the sexiest and the most powerful or the most incredible, whatever it is. And from that, this is where the vicious cycle of consumerism come from. And do you feel, or is there any way of putting that out to people in front of them where they'll listen? Because saying that to people, you get nods a lot of the time, but then we keep on this trap, we keep on the treadmill, and we end up, again, falling off it and feeling depressed, getting down to the paths of suicidal at points, because the answer's so in front of us. We don't need this. Go back to nature, go back to your animal sides, like have your basic needs met, and then, you know, you can have your little quirks and enjoyments. You don't have to go back into robes, but it's not the answer. Do you know what I mean?
I think one of the biggest things that I've learned in the last year from my friend Molly, who's a hypnotherapist,
Wow.
is this idea of like turning poison into medicine. And I don't think I ever could have really understood what that meant in any other point in my life other than now. But I think in a situation like that, it's emotion that they use to kind of get you into that cycle in the first place. It's the emotion of jealousy, it's emotion of like wanting a desire and wanting something more. And I feel like you can use emotion to almost start reversing it by even just showing compassion to more people and like complimenting someone on something that they're obviously inconfident about, you know, like just generally portraying what goodness so that people can absorb it and be like, actually, you know what? And even going back to the clothing thing we were talking about, being able to wear things and then having other people see it and be like, actually, I can do that as well. Like you're almost educating slowly, bit by bit, like it's one person at a time, but hopefully little tiny things like that
can just emanates
all
and
add
builds.
up and can probably change a person's whole journey just like that.
I've always been a sucker for animation, affirmation, and quotes. And some, because I like poetry, I've used, but I thought, oh, could I spin that? Could I turn it into its own thing? But the one that I've never been able to spin better than it is be the change you want to see.
Oh my God.
It was always the one where I went, do you know what? I think it was probably Gandhi on it, that one. You have come up with the greatest saying of all time, and that, truthfully lived, truthfully embodied, is how I see change come.
100%.
In every way.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone not doing the thing that they want to do that's ever changed anything. I mean, there's no more words needed.
Mate, yeah, so I mean, we've made a very short podcast, but game over. You're very fascinating. You have your eyes open, I say, in not a cliche term, but you've thought differently. You broke out the mold. You're outside the boxes. Has it been a long journey? Have you been trapped inside these boxes?
Absolutely.
Have you been trapped inside these modes of thinking for a long time?
Absolutely. Like, I don't.
Take us back, way back.
Like I said to you earlier, I literally don't even know where to start with it because it's so many. I feel like life comes in chunks of lessons. Like if you're open to changing and developing yourself, you will do it step at a time. And there's been many times in my life where I've been like, I know everything I need to know. And then something will happen and I'm like, what? You know what I mean? Like, and then I'll learn something else and I'll learn something else. And it's just this ongoing cycle of like, I've not reached my biggest, best self yet. Which I guess in some ways could be negative, but in a lot of ways, I feel like if you use that to kind of give yourself somewhere to aim to, but also then kind of recognize all the different developments that you're making, it's good.
It's like always checking in, and just being like, I've done really well, having an appraisal for yourself, recognizing your accolades and what you're about, and being proud, and you are enough of this person now. But there's always development, there's always learning. And I think that's such a good attitude, because I don't think it's wrong to aim for stuff, but what I do is if you miss all the steps along the way.
Absolutely.
And I've been a sucker for that for a long time. I just, in terms of business, always wanted, we're going to get here, and then I just get frustrated because I'm going, we're not doing enough. But
yet you've forgotten all the bits that you have achieved, and all the small things that will
last
probably add
week
up.
and so on and so on, and you really truthfully do, as an artist, as a musician, as a performer, as a business owner, as a family person, whatever it is in your walk of life, you got to take that minute out to congratulate yourself for how far you've come, where you're at.
100%. It's essential, I think, to growing as well, because if you don't recognize where you're at and all the good things that you've done up until that point, then how are you supposed to grow? Because if you're in a mindset of I'm not doing enough, you've not recognized the platform that you're on, you're not recognizing the tools that you have in that moment to take you forward. So you're essentially just building on all the stuff that you have previously, which wouldn't get you to where you are supposed to be, because you're here right now, not there.
A commonality that I find with people is they've been through a world of pain when they speak like this, because you kind of have to go through it. I think I love that saying, when you're going through hell, keep going.
Yeah.
And have you been there then? Have you been to we don't have to go to the Rocky of the Rocks and tell us all the ins and outs and nitty bits, but have you tasted that darkness to get to the light?
Yeah, 100%. Oh man. I guess a big thing that's kind of impacted me is just feeling like you don't have, there's not anybody in the world that has your back. And I mean that in terms of like family, friends, like anybody. Is just you against the world. And I've struggled a lot with like my identity, because so I grew up with my mum, and she's British, she's white, and it was her and then various different partners, and my dad is Jamaican, and for like a very long time, I grew up in Christchurch as well, which is like a very like white area, and I think there was like one.
It's not far, is it, from here?
No, it's not at all.
Wow.
But when I think when I was growing up, that was probably like, well, I'm 25 now, so it would have been like quite a while ago. But I think there was like one Asian girl living there.
Wow.
And obviously you can't tell that I'm black at all. So there was this big like divide in my head of like I'm supposed to be this, but I have no idea what that is, because I didn't know my dad at that point, and you know where I lived as well, and the types of people I was around. It was very much like racist environment, like it was. So in my head growing up, it was very much like to be black or to have any kind of association to that was bad, very bad. And I spent a lot of my childhood being very like, fuck, like I don't know who I am, and I know I'm that, but based on my community and the people that I'm around, that's not good to be. So then who am I supposed to be, essentially? And I had to always kind of invent these different like things, characters, I suppose. That would separate me from my actual life,
your real version of you.
So there was that, and then that teamed with not having like a stable family environment. Like my mum was obviously a single parent, and she was in and out of relationships quite often, and a few abusive relationships as well. And I'm the oldest of 6 siblings now. Oldest of 6.
Nice.
So obviously I have a lot of responsibility on me at that point as well. And yeah, I guess all of that mixed together and feeling quite alone in terms of, because at one point like I didn't have my mum there either. There was quite a bit of conflict in our relationship at a few different points, and a lot of that was because of me wanting stability and not having it. And you know, when you're a kid as well, you can't always communicate things in the best way. So it's like, how do I show you that I'm struggling, but as a child, you know what I mean? How do I communicate that to an adult that's not necessarily kind of
somebody you expect to be the guide in essence?
Exactly.
And you're thinking, why am I guiding this?
So I guess for a long time I literally just felt like I was responsible for my siblings and like taking care of them, and responsible for like the choices that my mum would make, responsible for, and I felt responsible, I suppose, for like reaching out to my dad and trying to build a relationship there, and then also for myself first and foremost, which as you can tell from the conversation took a massive backseat in all of that. So yeah, all that kind of happened before I was 19.
Wow. Okay.
And
it's a lot to sift through, isn't it? A lot to work out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I went to art college, and I started studying fashion design, which just flipped the game for me completely.
Seriously?
Yeah. Like, creativity in general, I think I've always been quite creative, but because of my environment and like limited kind of resources and connections and stuff growing up, it was like, I know I have something, but I don't know where to put it. I don't know who to speak to. Like, no one wants to help me do that. So we're just wandering around for ages, like, almost like a bit of a zombie, just being like, oh, I'll just follow them for a little while. And then I went to art college and met all these random crazy dressing, like crazy speaking, all kinds of like random people that had the best energy and kind of showed me that I can use creativity to help myself out, figure out who I want to be, and figure out how to accept the things about myself that I hadn't been able to accept before.
Love that. It's great, because I get young people sometimes saying, should I go to uni, shouldn't I go to uni, should I go to college, shouldn't I? And again, there is just no one route suits all. And because of your story and the path that you've been on, you found that was a really important place to be, so you could meet these sort of people, they could inspire you, you're building passion together, and it really sounds like a pivotal point of your journey. So for that reason, you go, yeah, of course, uni and college or education and being around similar people, similar mindsets is a great idea. It's expansive and perfect. I mean, for me, I was so ready to get out of education, and I think it's the best thing I did. I ended up just going travelling after being asked to leave. Went like Australia and South Africa and lived around a bit. And I think I needed that culture shock, because I've just known Ripley, this, again, white town, small town mindset. And that was it wasn't meeting people of passion and meeting people of similar lines of thinking. It was elevating myself through different culture shocks and different lines of thinking. So everyone's journey's got to be different to suit their needs.
100%.
Do you know what I mean?
And I guess it all depends, because obviously I don't know about your backstory in terms of like what your family was like growing up, but I always find that people that kind of have a good support network and a good family background need that, like, outside, like, right, what's going on elsewhere, whereas at the time I didn't really have the family network that I needed. So going to places where people were like me and like who I was wanting to be kind of was what I needed, because I've never really had it.
Right.
And it gave me somewhere to, it was almost like being reborn in a sense, and like just giving myself a space to
the new you
explore me. 100%.
Absolutely love that. I think it's a quote, I'll rehash it, I'm gonna murder this. But every man, and it's woman and man, every person has two lives. His second starts when he realises he just has one. I actually nailed it. But again, I think it's you have a second life, and you have to get to a learning stage where you go, this is my life now, but this is who I'm going to be. I'm going to be this character. I'm going to really live it to its full. So you have to go through a pattern of life and a first part of it, have your first half, and then get to the stage where you go, not necessarily just this big epiphany moment, was go, right, I've got to live this now. I've got to really embody it, embrace it, take it. And did that start for you when you found a passion then? Was it?
Absolutely. I would say at the time, because I didn't know myself enough to be like, this is where I want to get to, fashion was just there, and it was something that gave me all the things that I needed, so I just ran with it, and I did a lot of incredible things with it at that point in time. But after about 3 years of doing it, I got to the end of it and I was like, right, I was a completely different person, like 3 years down the line, because I had confidence that I never had, and I had, friends and people around me that supported me. And at that point I was like, actually, right, reevaluating the journey that I'm on, I don't think fashion is actually what I'm passionate about.
Right.
But you have to be in the headspace to be able to make those kind of decisions, because if you're operating out of like fear or like miseducation, you're gonna just be like, yeah, that'll do, or that'll do, without being able to be like, what do I want?
Yeah.
So yeah, after Sorry, is this the me story right now? Am I just talking about myself too much?
Please do. This is the way we learn. We learn through anecdotes and people's life. That's genuinely what I wanted this podcast to be. Always. I help a lot of people with their podcasts, and I do another podcast. And sometimes it's all about mental health or a certain thing. But his podcast was always just to hear stories and hear people talk about them and just get naked with yourself. Strip it off, go. So all you.
Okay, amazing. Well, I guess after I decided that fashion wasn't for me, and for lots of different reasons, like the industry, like the negative things behind it, the selling of fashion, it felt good to be making things that only I can wear to express myself. But I didn't want to be Boohoo. I didn't want to be like Louis Vuitton. I didn't want to be out there pumping out this message of like, this is who you can be and what you can have to people that don't necessarily resonate with any of it. So I was like, right, I want to be doing something completely different, but I still want to do something that I can express myself in. And I kind of had in the back of my mind, like always, that music was where I kind of wanted to be. I've kind of dated a few boys that are like in the music scene, and now on reflection, I feel like that was only because I was attracted to the music more than like their energy, which is a big shout. Sorry if you're listening.
Thing to say. Very self-aware.
It's the truth.
Yeah. But you make good music. Just backing him up there.
So I think it was more. I kind of didn't have enough confidence to admit that music was a thing, because you know that whole thing about like people are like, oh, you need to pick a real career, like music isn't a career.
Of course.
And there was that, and then there was also the fact that I'm like, I'd never studied music, like I'd never really tried any of it before.
And you're 19, 20 at this point?
21, I would say.
Old.
Yeah, very old. And then I just kind of I sat down with myself, and I'm really big on like manifestation. Not that I have any idea what I'm doing. Like I'm just hoping this works. But I kid you not, right?
That's what everyone's doing.
I kid you not. Every single time I have sat down and I've decided, you know what, this is what I want, and I just need something to help me get there. Something has landed right in front of me.
Serendipitous.
And, honestly, it's freaky.
I love the law of attraction, and I think there was a film out recently called A Secret.
Yes.
And it gets bad rep because it was quite a base level of it. It's like a kid's book towards what law of attraction means and can be.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's real or not. But the philosophy of it, the idea of it, manifestation, putting out what you want into the universe and letting the universe provide, why not live like that? Regardless, if you call it woo-woo science and it's just a bunch of fluffy stuff, but doesn't it mean that you live in a better way for yourself? And lo and behold, something good's going to come out of it. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I just think, why not live that way? It makes so much sense. And I feel the same way. I think there is something more divine, more mystical, more powerful with it, because I am the same. I have had them moments where I went, nah, that's not coincidence. That's a way bigger thing than that. But I put myself in them situations because of the mindset that drew me to it.
I've been reading this book that I found on a kind of podcast platform, and this guy was like speaking it, and I was like, wow, this sounds incredible. So I bought it, and I'm like halfway through. I kid you not, this guy has blown my mind.
Really?
Like, I've read The Secret, and I've read like lots of self-help books that are like, just, think good and think good things will happen. But I think it's called The Magic of Believing, and it's by some guy from...
I've heard of that, genuinely, yeah.
It's quite an old book, and the guy that's written it is like quite an old guy. But honestly, he breaks down the science behind manifestation. So like, normally you'd think it's not science. Like, how can it be? Because there's no chemicals or reaction involved in it. So how can it be science? But this guy just kind of simply, and you think you'd know this because it makes so much sense once he says it, but you don't kind of think it in your head until someone actually says it to you. But he's like, the reason why manifestation works is literally because you put yourself in a place where you're ready to actually go out and do those things. If you're always sat here and you're like, I kind of want to do that, then you're kind of going to do it. You're kind of going to do it because that's where you're at in your head. But if you say to yourself, I'm going to do this, and you make a plan to do it, like a manifestation plan, but a literal plan to do it, then you're gonna get what you want. Because step by step, it will come to you in some form, and it could take years, it could take months, but you will get what you want because you sat there making a plan and actually doing the groundwork to get to that place. And that I think is one of the biggest things that people kind of mistake about manifestation. They miss out the active part of it, and then rather than just the I'm just thinking about that part of it.
I think with that book, what does get people on board that wouldn't be into the woo-woo or the mystical is using science, so something actualised that they can understand on a level, and putting it back in front of them saying, this is what's happening. And I think I've seen it broken down in that way, because, you know, we are made up of cells, and then you go into the cells and you keep going in and in and in, and what do you go down to? You go down to vibration. That's what we are all made out of, matter, because you just keep microscoping in all the way in. And if you're vibrating on that positive energy, scientifically, you're going to raise that vibration for self, raise that vibration for people around you, and then you're ultimately somebody people want to be around, people want in their venue, people want in their vicinity, wherever it is, in their organisation. So by simply just raising your vibration, which we're made out of, opens up all your opportunity of life. And I think to that simplicity, that degree, why not give it a few weeks if you're feeling a bit rubbish to just
what
try
have you got
out?
to lose? Like, if you're sat thinking I need something more,
but that's just a little bit too fluffy for me. You go, well, listen, the hard stuff you've been dealing with now is too much for you. Try the other stuff.
Exactly. I also think there's almost a bit of shame that comes with wanting something big. Like, people don't want to be like, oh, I really want my business to be making like £1 million a year next year, because it's a big thing. And if you don't get there, there's the whole like, oh, I didn't make it. But the fact that you would be sitting and you'd be like, I don't think I can, is literally enough to write you off from ever like getting it.
My friend's advice to me said the worst advice I've ever been given was be realistic. Why be realistic? Why base it? If somebody else out there has done it, gone through the grime, gone through the grit, and got to the top, why can't I? What is stopping you? And it was a little moment like that. Be realistic. Oh my God, why have I been setting base level all the time? Why am I going, right, I'll be tangible, just going to get to here? This really is cliche, but aim for the stars, land on a cloud. It makes so much sense. It truthfully does.
It really does.
Go for as big and bright and beautiful as possible, and something glorious is going to come through with it. You just have to make sure that you're not depressed or angry that the top of the pop didn't come through, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. 100%.
You just have to be happy with what is, but aim for it, go for it. And I feel that in you. I definitely feel that's a part of you. I'm just going to be on this train, do my passion, do the thing that I love. If we can get 50,000, 100,000, if we can get big shows, wicked.
Yeah.
But what just a little old farm bus one here and stuff.
Like, so music, I only started doing it really like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was complete by accident. Going back to what I was saying before, manifestation, I just sat down one day and I was like, right, I've got the summer. I want to do something musical. I'm going to, put the feelers out there and see what's going on. This is me not having any connections to like, the music scene in Nottingham, really, whatsoever. And I was scrolling through Facebook, as you do, like, you just get sucked into the social media platform.
Down we go.
And then out of nowhere, just pops up this, like, application form for, like, a music project. And I was like, okay, this is a bit weird, because this is kind of what I've been wanting. Like, it was like an introduction to the music scene. Like, you get to work with lots of different artists. And I was like, what better way for me to learn how to do it than to do it with people that do it and also want to do it. So I was like, right, sign me up, I'll do whatever. But initially, I wasn't signing up. I didn't have the balls, I suppose, to sign up to be like, I want to do music and I want to sing. I signed up and I was like, I can do fashion and I can help with the music videos and all that kind of stuff, but I can also sing. And that was like a side note, which was me kind of being like, I really want to do this.
Yeah.
And I got there, and luckily for me, they literally on the first day made us all sing. And I was like, oh my God.
I got goosebumps then. Like, you go, girl, you sing.
So, like, you know, what better? Because if I'd have got there and they'd been like, what do you want to do? I would have been like, well, I kind of want to do music, but I can do music videos and I can make clothes. They would have just been like, okay, well, that's where you can go. But instead, it gave me an opportunity to be like, I mean, I kind of didn't have a choice. It literally just threw me in the deep end and was like, right, I think we had to make like a rap out of like random words and then perform it in front of like the whole group. And I was like, having never done that before, it was a lot. But at the end of the day, I was like, I want to do that again. It wasn't even a very good rap. It wasn't. But I was like, I want to do it again.
My name is Tiff. I'm pretty sick. That's as far as I was going to go there. I'm not freestyler like.
No, neither am I, don't worry. And yeah, so it's just kind of gone from there. But the one thing that has taken me from starting out there 2 years ago to, you know, me and Project Zeus have a festival in Reading next in September, and like I've done ridiculously. I've done Rock City's main stage for Beat the Streets, and like,
dude,
sometimes I sit here and I'm like, how in 2 years, having like literally started 2 years ago, has that whole thing happened? And I've realised that I have just been like, yes, to pretty much everything that's been put in front of me.
Nice.
And
yeah, that's a great piece of advice for young aspiring artists.
Yeah, because you never want, like, every single thing that I've done, I've met someone that I've worked with in the future that's been able to help me somewhere else down the line.
Oh, mate, yeah.
You know what I mean? Or I've learned something that I've been able to utilise in the future.
Me and Chrissy did a talk to Lincoln Uni recently, and again to people that want to make it into the music industry.
Yeah.
And that was probably my, again, biggest epiphany recently, of recent, just saying, do you know, them gigs where you turn up and there's 12 people there and you just think, what am I doing here? Crappy pub, the sound man's out back, off his head, whatever. Yeah, we'll do it in a minute, mate. But if you put 110% in, because you put yourself in that position, this literally happened to me actually. Gets a mention every podcast. I've done about 90 podcasts now. Martin Illingworth. He's somebody I go into schools with, and we go and teach him. We speak to newly qualified teachers, and I give writing workshops. And I talk about my journey, because it was quite an unexpected journey into poetry, similar to yours. Yeah. And when we have a bevy later, I'll tell you all about it. The viewers of this, though, they'll be bored stiff of it. But I went to Annie's Burger Shack in Nottingham. Went downstairs. I put on, it was this little gig, again, rubbishy PA system, crackling, and I thought, what have I done? I've just eaten a massive burger, I'm knackered, and there's 3 of us here, I'm just going to do it. So I got up and I performed, but it's like a 10-minute piece that I do. It's about football, about like the masculine energy in my family, and us correlating that with football, and it's got a lot of life meaning in it and message. And I don't know why, but Martin, I clocked him out the corner of my eye. This is about 6-7 years ago, and he was really listening, intently listening. I thought, do you know what, mate, I'm going to perform this for you now. This is your poem, this is our moment, this is me and you, brother, we're in. So I put in all my energy, all my effort in this. And afterwards I went down and he went, you won't remember me, but you used to work at Aisha Coco, this little cafe, and I did remember him actually. And you'd always just come with a smile, you'd come with a coffee, really got on. I went travelling after that, and he goes, I never thought I'd see you again. I didn't expect that. And he gave me his business card, and he's a lecturer at Sheffield Hallam Uni, and he's a local celebrity around here in teaching community. Really? It's hard to be a celebrity teacher, but he's smashed it. Got books out and all this. So in that moment, I just thought, right, chance it, give him a call. yeah, come next week. I'm going to a school, you're coming. Okay, got there. Right, I'm just listening though, yeah? I'm just gonna no, you're gonna perform. It's like, bro, I got kicked out of my schools. I didn't have a good time. Don't get me up there. I do not belong in schools. And now it's been 5 years, maybe 4 or 5 years. I can't remember now, but I've been in hundreds and hundreds of schools with him, on stages, in unis, all over. And that was just from that one gig, that one performance where you think, what's the point?
Ridiculous.
So you really do have to just say yes, even when you're there, believe in it, and them little moments will come back round.
Yeah.
And it's really powerful if you just stay true, stay you, and go for it.
You know, a couple of years ago, I went on this little solo journey down to Bristol, and I went and stayed in this eco kind of house with all these other creative people. I can't. What was it called? I can't remember, but I'll show you later.
Eco Village.
And
I'm really creative, mate.
There was loads of cool people there, and they were all making stuff, and they're just so friendly. And I was there for a week, and the guy that ran it, he was just literally always smiling, kind of like you, the older version of you, I would say.
My man.
And on my last day, he showed me around the studio area that they were building, and then we just got talking about his life and stuff. And he's been through some mad things, and he's done some mad things. He was chilling with Kate Moss and stuff when he was younger. It was ridiculous. But one of the biggest things that I took from a conversation with him, and these were literally his words, he was always look for the coincidences. And I was like, what? It blew my brains apart a little bit. On my way home, I was thinking about it, and I was like, everything that I've kind of done that's been positive has had some kind of coincidence connected to it. It was a coincidence that you were doing a gig that the guy who always used to go to the cafe that you used to work at was at, that was supposed to help you progress down a path. And it's what? How?
And maybe by accident, I read that coincidence and made something happen out of it, because I was back then, and I still am now, a chancer, and I want to just take them opportunities, take them moments and say, right, this means something, let's make it into something. And I think it had to be ingrained. It wasn't my natural to do, and it was something during my deep depression, my suicidal stage. I just had to have a complete restart, a complete change of thinking, and that was its biggest learner, was just go, right, what you're going to be now is somebody that only sees the yes in this, only sees the, right, I know it's not the best thing that's happened to you, but what's the learning from here, what's the gain? And it is pessimist and optimist thinking, and you have to realign yourself, don't you?
100%.
Completely with that.
I think it has an element of resourcefulness to it as well, because you could have the crappiest situation in the world, really bad feelings, and just be able to use some of that and at least one or two things good that are around you to just lift you a little bit.
There really is. There's going to be that pearl of wisdom inside it all. The problem for people is it's really painful to turn inside it, because what we really want to do is just turn away from it, go to the next thing. That's me with travelling, really. I had so much to work on back home. I had so much pain, so much angst, and there was bullying and hurt with the family. And what I was doing for a long time, what I realised, was just running away from it, getting away. But what it did do was give me time to breathe, step away. But then I got to turn into it. And again, from the podcast today, it was somebody saying, you've got this house, unfortunately all the problem is in the basement, and you've got to go down in there to build a foundation back up, and then you can build a house. But what we do a lot of the time is paint the windows up. The house is falling down. No, go in the basement, put the foundation down. No, the windows, just nice colour, we'll get there, fall over. But you really do, in any situation where it's painful, you've got to turn into it and just go, right, time to take away something here.
No, 100%. I honestly think that has been one of the biggest things to help me through everything, that from when I was a kid all the way to now, is just to be able to look at the things that you are going through, and almost like step out of your own experience and be able to look at it from an outsider's perspective. Because then you're not thinking out of like anger or sadness, which are things you're going to feel when you're going through a rough time, and you're able to just be like, right, am I the problem in this situation? You can look at it and be like, okay, not so much. Is it this other person? Are they like, projecting something onto me? And you can really like assess it from afar without having to pull down everything around you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Dude, how far do you live, by the way, away from here? Because I had an epiphany as you were speaking. I was thinking, dude, we should do a little podcast together. We could do 15-minute ones or 20 minutes, but just having a female and a male together on mental health, would just bring two sides of a story together. But I love the way you speak. I've basically trapped you now on this and said, are you going to do it or not?
I mean, we'll leave it to the audience to decide.
I know you're very busy with your life, but do you know, if you could, like, once a month, come here and have a little chat about this. We could make 4 little snippet episodes, and that'd feed us for the month.
Yeah.
But I do lots of little, like the silly ones with series of theories. We ask a big question, and it's just fun. But where my heart lies is always in providing for others. I just want to make people not feel where I got to. I hit all the wrong branches as far down as you get to the bottom of the hole. I don't think everyone has to go to that extremity, that lowness, and hit it and go, uh-oh, where do we go now? And luckily for me, I think through sheer tenacity, because I've built that from my mum, who's a nutter, and a few other people in my life, there's long stories there, but I just went, fuck this shit, I'm going to get the ladder, I'll find it, I'll make one. I've just made it out of mud, scrambled my way to the top and managed. But there's so many bloody people that don't get that opportunity, don't get that solace, that they just cripple themselves in that place. So my journey really has always been the mental health side of things, and the way you express yourself, articulate it, is so profound and beautiful and powerful, and I just think it warrants to be heard. So if it's not on here with me, you're doing one yourself. you've got to. It deserves to be heard, and especially your story. So you go into education now and help younger people. Is that something I've heard about you?
Well, not so much education is in schools, but I help run the project that kind of raised me, which is like Circle of Light. I mean, that's what it's called. Circle of Light.
I like the Lion King, so you sprung through cogs there. I was like, yeah, I know it, but maybe not the same one.
No Lion King. But basically what we do, which is literally what we did when we started, but we do it a bit bigger and a bit more like loud and fun now. But we get about 30 people every year together in a studio for 3 weeks, and we just make an album together and put it out there. And it builds such a... From when I started, I think we've done it for like 3 years now. No, this is the 3rd one coming up in it. By the way, if you're interested and you know someone, it starts the beginning of August, so get on it, because you will regret it if you miss it. It's like 18 to 25 year olds that can join. But that's a great age bracket, because again, people of that age always count themselves out. They just go, no, I've missed my time now. Exactly. I'm just going to plateau and do the norm. And no, you're grabbing these people, you're shaking them up and saying, we've got you, because you would have been lost without that. Honestly, I cannot. I always say it, and I think everyone thinks I'm joking, or like they don't feel it as much as I actually mean it when I say it, but I genuinely have no idea what I'd be doing if I didn't make that one choice to join the project. I'm not even being biased, because I work with them now, but it changed the game. Like, it gave me a new purpose, it gave me like a family, it gave me like just a nurturing place to try stuff out and meet new people to like work with. Because I always think, when you're an artist and you're in your bedroom and you're literally like, oh, I need to do this, and I need a singer, or I need a producer, or whatever, and you can't find one anywhere. There's one probably around the corner that you don't know about, and they're all just like separate and doing their own thing, when really like we need to work together So that, you know, when you need a singer, someone can sing on your track, and when you need a producer, someone can produce your track. Because we're all facing the same like beast at this point. We're all trying to, you know, hammer away at the bigger industries and get our stuff heard. And we've created something that basically means that we can utilize each other's skill sets.
Yeah, wow.
And help everyone grow. And by God, it works. Like, I literally, in my 3 years of being a part of it, have seen people, including myself, go from like, what are you doing, to like, oh my God, they're doing incredible. Through literally just connecting with people and seeing how other people do things. And you almost like get an education out of collaborating with people, because you're learning different ways of thinking and different ways to look at things.
I think that's the biggest education.
Yeah.
It's on the job learning. You're out there, you're doing it, you're networking, and then all these powerful traits that you were talking about earlier, like confidence, building up a self of character, and just constantly evolving with this. You can't read this really in a book.
No.
You have to implement it. You have to get out there and put yourself in them deep territories, those deep waters. And I'm sure you don't just hurl them in and go, you're off. But again, it's armbands, and then it's releasing that, and it's further in and further in. But it's inside of it rather than building yourself up. You never end up going, do you? You never end up getting to that stage if you're just in your head, I'm gonna. It never happens.
Yeah.
Just got to get on.
I think one of the things that has people always say when they join the Circle of Light is like they were expecting to come and be around people with loads of egos as well. Because
I was going to ask that genuine question. So yeah, what were you going to say to that?
The music industry is literally full of egos. Like, everywhere you go, it's like, oh no, I can't work with you. I've done too much. But there's people that come and you can tell that they've got their back up a little bit, because they're used to people being not very nice or like kind of dismissive of something they've put a lot of time into. And they have a bit of like a wobble in the beginning, because they're like, what is going on here? Like, why is everyone being so nice to me?
When does it all crash down?
Yeah, and it never does, because like I have met some of my best friends that, you know, you met the other night.
Oh, we're classing them as besties, are we?
Besties, the
nice.
besties.
So, whoop whoop.
Literally, I've met some of my best friends through the project, because they're so like, everyone is there for the same reason, and I think it breaks down barriers really easily when you realise like, actually, no one is a threat. I'm not competing with anyone. I'm literally just here to grow, and so is everyone else. And that environment mixed with the fact that everyone is so supportive is the perfect environment for like blossoming.
How often are you doing these? Is it through all the summer you do it?
So we do it, the album project is once every year for 3 weeks throughout August. And then we've now, which is a new development, I've been working hard, I tell you, on this, but we've set up a music studio.
Wow.
Which is amazing, and we've also got like a
You're
little
so inspiring
space. And I've been slaving away I've done literally like, there's nothing I haven't like touched, because it's all kind of, I've been painting, I've been like oiling wood, all kinds of things that I've never even done before, just to make it like and oh my God, I've never
oiling wood. If I heard some people out there, and I thought if they came in at the wrong time, that would have sounded awful. What are you guys up to on here? I know what you mean though, but I've been working on that. What you're sitting on now is oiled wood by me.
It takes time, doesn't it?
Yeah,
You've done a really good job.
Thank you. That is a stage right there. Dude, I absolutely adore your mission. Do you have a mission statement then? Is there something that you feel you've been put on this planet to do?
I genuinely, because of everything that I've overcome, and literally like as an adult, I feel like I've seen people crash and burn from like even just one of the things that I've had to deal with. I feel like I'm just in a very good position to help other people realize that there are ways and options to be better and to be nicer and
their potential.
Yeah.
Wow.
And not even just like on a personal level, but like the way that they can actually impact other people, because I mean that alone is something I'm really passionate about. I navigate throughout my day thinking like I know that anything I do is literally going to have a direct impact on someone else. And I know, I mean, people can say it might be a negative thing to always be thinking about other people, but I don't do it in a way where it like stops me from doing what I need to do for me. But I'm very conscious of how I go about like people that I connect with throughout my life, because I've been massively aware of how and experienced how someone's actions, through maybe you not even being conscious of the fact that they're doing it, but something that they've done has literally flipped my whole life like on its back.
Yeah.
And I never want to know that something I've done has had a ridiculously negative impact on someone else.
Yeah.
And I guess I just want to make other people aware of the fact that if we work together, we can all be living
pretty
cushy.
sweet.
Yeah.
And do the absolute adverse of what you've had done to you. Just having small implements into people's life and letting them know it can be glorious, it can be this way, and it's this effect. And again, you don't know a piece of content that you put out, just a word that you say to somebody, a nice comment about how they look, the energy they brought to you. You really don't know how radical that shift could be for somebody.
Honestly.
It's, even smiling, it's infectious. Smile, that was a big one for me. The other day, somebody just said, like, you really don't know how much I needed you right now. And I was like, all right, are you okay? She goes, I've just had the worst day. All you did is smile at me, and you made me feel 100% better. And from that moment, I went off in the car and I was like, I really enjoy that moment happened. Where can I implement that in somebody else's life? And it could be that simple.
Yeah.
It could be that moment.
It really is.
That much to mean to someone. Are we doing this? Are we making a podcast together?
I mean,
I
kind of feel like there's so much unsaid that we have no choice.
We really must. You're such a fascinating person. I've got you on this day where I was saying to you before, I was running around like Manuel, Faulty Towers, gotta get this, gotta get that, there's an event happening, I'm so sorry, just a podcast. But I want you here on a day where it's really chill. We've put maybe an idea together where we go, should we talk on this front today and this front? Because there's the beauty of the madness of the world at the minute. There's a lot to talk about, and there's a lot to sieve through, and there's a lot to dissect and decipher. And I think we could do this together.
I agree.
I do honestly. I love what mark you're putting onto this planet. Even if I didn't see you for a year, I just love you exist. I know you're going around doing wonderful things for people's lives, and it just fills my heart because it makes me go, oh yeah, this is what we need more than ever right now. People being the change that they want to see, embodying it and letting it manifest and letting it emanate and grow out. I can't thank you enough for today. You've restored my faith in humanity. Let's have it large. Where can people, again, I want to get you back to do all the music talk as well. We've not even been down there. We've got Project Zeus.
Oh, we'll go.
We've got where you're at. Want to take you everywhere. It's just these noisy buggers outside. They've got me remembering I've got a party on. Are you having a drink later for you?
I might have
a tipple.
Have a tipple.
Where can people find all your stuff? Because guys, it's so worth going down the line of. It's incredible. So where can they find you and all your projects?
I'm Tiffany Jade Holland on Instagram. Most of my stuff links back to there. But you can find me on Apple Music, on Spotify, like anywhere you want to look. Tiffany Jade Holland, Tiffany
Jade Holland.
Yeah.
And is it mainly Insta? What if somebody pinged you a message? Would you get back through Insta or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to give y'all my number right now.
Yeah.
We got to get to know each other first.
Awesome. Yeah, I do not want loads of people just in your inboxes right now, but I suppose from what you spoke about today, if there was a young person, aspiring person to get in the scene, what a person to talk to. What a great inspiration.
Yes,
so
definitely
hopefully some of them people are in there. Guys, you've been a part of the Old Farm Bus, Back of the Bus Sessions podcast. Remember what we say. Last thing I'm going to leave you on. Be nice to one another. You're beautiful buggers. Have a good day. I'll see you later. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Have you enjoyed it?
I've loved it.
We did it. Sorry I had to wrap it up. It's their fault.
I can't even hear them, you know.